Yo, what up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Yet another day, another news cycle from Azure News. Yep. You read that title, you know what's up. I don't even feel like making this video because it's so blatantly obvious that there is no competition anymore. You're just competing with yourself, and then you have like all these people around you, like, voices in your head. Although they're not technically voices in your head, and they're like, very real consequences to neglect, parental neglect, neglecting of yourself, and most importantly, neglecting of pain, of strength, of why it's so important to, like, just get strong. And I find that, like, the older I get, the more wisdom I have, in the sense that, starting off as, like, a young kid, you think to yourself that I can change people's minds, or I can, like, do something that hasn't been done before. It's a very idealistic way of thinking about life. Especially when you're young, you're like, okay, I can do this. I'm so optimistic. And then you get older, you're like, fuck. There's reasons why, this is so difficult, or why this is impossible, or why it's unapproachable and shit. Like, let's take, for instance, right? Because the Cheeto made a video about him. Shoutouts to a Cheeto. On Rehab Room. I don't think he actually knows who Rehab Room really is, or if he does, he's just, like, downplaying it, so, like, because he's more mainstream than me, so, like, he doesn't get his video flagged, because it's like, yo, that guy used to be called Incel TV. Like, getting your advice from Incel TV, you probably want context over that. I mean, I would. Guy named Incel TV giving me advice, fuck that. And, like, yo, it's happening, man. Apparently, Anissa Joma and Ian are breaking up. Like, I give a fuck. I don't care. I don't think anybody really cares, but it's like, it's not a surprise. It's not surprising. I already mentioned that Hassan's come out, like, fully come out. And it's like, it's damaged him so much that I think it's never going to be a recoverable thing. Like, his cause is all, like, shot down. The red pill, even though he didn't necessarily represent the red pill, like, he was kind of what I would call a profiteer, where you have people who would seize power, right, and become the de facto stand-in. Like, no matter how the world wants to look at it, if you break down the concept of masculinity, another form of masculinity is just going to come and take its place. The same thing with femininity, right? Like, that's why, like, the Middle East is having so much problems, because, like, both Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, all these places, right, are just going against, the rights of women. And then you have, like, Saudi Arabia, like, trying to be progressive and shit. It's like, what you want for your kids, right? Do you want your kids to have the best possible, like, future and shit? It's not like sounds like something you could single out, like, one group of people for. You gotta look at, like, the whole grand scheme, the whole big picture of it. So, as many probably have guessed, the AI crash has begun, because, let's be honest, in order for you to have artificial intelligence, you have to give it intelligence. And what am I seeing over and over again with, like, Sora AI and all these other, like, video making things? It's like cat AI videos, some other, like, fake shit, like fake pictures. It's like you took, like, something that was supposed to push humanity forward, and you just, like, threw it all the way back into, like, the pre-industrial age, where you have, like, people, like, tripping out over, like, magazines and comic books and shit. But, like, to them, it's so real, right? The concept of it. AI, constructs and this and that. I was talking to a buddy of mine I think my internet was acting up. We got cut off. We were just playing Neo together, and I was talking to him about how Valve came out. Well, technically it is Valve, but it's not officially Source 2. But it's like the bridge between Source 1 and Source 2, right? Where Gary's mod has evolved into Gary's mod 2, and he did something that like not a lot of people, would appreciate. But Asmongold's pointing out like these are like the old school ways of like computer nerds and shit, computer like geniuses basically, who knows how to like do everything from source, from code, like the legit type of people. And what this means is the development tools are not only accessible for anybody, but also 100%. Well, I don't know, 100% free, but he's saying royalty free. So on his end, he's not going to get anything. So if you put your game on Steam Marketplace, you're still going to have to pay them. Same thing with PlayStation. Same thing, whatever, Nintendo, whatever. Wherever you put your game, you're probably going to have to pay them specifically. But like, that's I think Unreal has 5% though after I think $1 million, so they're pretty fair as well. But like this is a brand new entry point because the problem with Unreal is it's a super powerful engine, but if you're not punctual with it, like you won't be able to use it to its full advantage. And like the things like Lumen are too taxing on the GPU, where you're just basically forcing it to render all this stuff. And like cutting the frame rate, which is like a death sentence depending on the game. Like a fighting game, racing game, games where it requires like precise timing, and I'm like, yeah, that's a little unforgivable. I'm playing Neo 3, silky smooth, 60 frames a second. Oh my god, dude, this game is so amazing. Open world and everything. Sony fucking rules, man. I'm gonna pick up not only the seasons pass, but I was talking to my friend, maybe I'm gonna pick up Marathon, and he's like, yeah, I already got Arc Raiders, I don't like it. The PvP aspect it pisses me off. I'm like, I don't want to tell him. I'm one of those guys that goes on PvP games specifically just to teabag people. I find that funny. Imagine you're playing this like extraction shooter, you're like knee deep with like a hardcore ass team, you get blindsided, and then out of nowhere you see this like invisible guy. He just like turns visible and starts teabagging you. I mean, it's the least I could do. I'm like a Sony pony and stuff, right? It's the least I could do for gaming on my console choice. They're like throwing all these commercials for Marathon at me, and I'm like, okay, you gave me this game for $10 off, which is like, if you count the taxes with it, it's quite a bit, because you get to apply the tax to the entire total. So it's doing me a huge favor as a Canadian. But like Sony makes some crazy ass games, and everybody's like doing the new cycle thing, where I don't blame them for that. I'm not gonna hold it against them. Like, look, I don't feel one way or the other. Like, I'm kind of neutral because I saw this coming, and even though I am kind of against it in the sense that it might push people away from the console, like in completion, because you're just raising it by another amount, and then you have to pay taxes on it, right? The way I see it is that, like, this console's gonna be around for a long ass time. I'm filming on it, like, putting gameplay videos on it. I could probably film and then just like edit it in the software that it has. So I could probably do that as well. Like if I get good enough for like a face reveal, good looking enough for a face reveal, which most likely I'm gonna have to do. Like if I want to go to like war with the no fappers, with like the red pill, the fucking the guy douches is basically what I'm gonna call them. Lump them all in with each other. And the reason why I think about like douches and shit is because it's like, okay, it's okay to feel a certain way and like to let your feelings go to an extent, right? But when you're dragging people, like your family, your race, your religion, like it's not cool, man. And that's why, like, I always had this personal thing about like, I wanted to be a good Hindu. I wanted to like, do well in my religion, exceed, make, people proud, like, make the name of Hinduism, like, something not to be ashamed of. But like, as time progressed, it was impossible, dude. It was impossible. It was like I'm fighting a lost cause, a battle that is unwinnable, and most likely will just claim my sanity. And the people who are, causing me to lose that fight are were my fellow Hindus. I'm not a Hindu anymore. You think I want to fucking, fight for that lost cause, man? I'm out. I'm out, man. Leave me, miss it with that shit. Miss it with the no fap shit. Miss it with the whole like, self help guru type shit. Yo, man. It's all about your inner monologue and your ability to take pain. Trust me, man. This kind of idea where you're gonna be killing it, you gotta like, meditate or do some shit. Nah, man. You gotta figure out how much pain you can take every day, and then see how far you can push it just a little bit. As long as you're not doing what I mistakenly do is like tendon damage, which is like, it's harder to recover from than your standard just like ripping muscles or like, getting like sore and shit. It's way more complicated, if you will. But as long as like you bear that in mind, like, let's be honest, the reason I'm making this video is it's never been more easy for guys like us. Okay, like, first of all, let's talk about where we're at in society. We're in a society where the balance of power has shifted so far to the other side, to the female side, feminine side, that like, I'm not saying you could be on your worst behavior, but like the time where the sole responsibility of the household was to fall upon you. I'm saying like responsibility wise, like being like, the anchor, if you will, right? Like you could be, more morally loose like me. Like you could be into your video games, into your like, fitness goals, into like, whatever, into your own like, fashion sense and all that shit, and still like meet somebody who not only doesn't matter if she like has these afflictions or not, but like you gotta give respect to that, girl magic to hold it down. And then we're living in a world where all these girls have that power. You're so much more better off, like, putting your trust in the hands of women. But like, you have to understand what is the sacrifice that is required to get there. And I'm gonna say something that's gonna piss a lot of people off, but I have to. I have to. I think it's equilibrium. I think it's what you see. If what you see is what you like, then you should be able to acquire something similar to that. I'm just gonna throw that out there because it's like, if we're gonna be fair in the realm of like, what is it all for? Like, come on, dude. It's not about you or me or even her. You know it. Like, sooner or later, you're gonna like take a deep breath, realize that maybe if it's just you, you're full of yourself, or you guys are full of yourselves, and then just do it for your kids. That's all that there is. That's all that matters. That's all that's left, and that's all that's going to carry you forward. Because all this bullshit and these guys, pretending that their lives matter so much more that they don't, they're going to realize that one day. I mean, they have a habit of like dressing every single thing up in this world to be more important than eventually having your own kids. That it's kind of mind-boggling. Like I'm bringing this up now, like 2026, the 1st of April, April Fools. But I'm not joking around. Despite the fact it is April Fools. No, I think the fools are everybody else, myself included, who don't have kids, and pretend that like everything else is so much more important. Because I was having this discussion with my friend before, like, my internet got cut off or whatever. I was like, in his chat room. I mean, private, the headset shit party. Yeah, like he was telling me not to have kids. That it's too late for me to have kids, and you know, it's kind of a lost cause because by the time they're like 15, 16, I'm gonna be like 60 something, right? Yeah, well, the way he put it too, it was just like right on the money. But, you know, that's why I say like go for that pain, go for that equilibrium. Like you see a girl with like a flat stomach, abs and shit, like you should be able to get that yourself. Otherwise, you should be going for girls who are more like yourself. And of course, this is gonna get me like a lot of hate, but like this is something we all deep down know, and that's why like it's so popular, right? This whole you know, I hear Sam Sulek is pushing some peptide shit. I thought he was natural. Fuck, I'm so stupid, man. Everybody's so weak. That's how it is. They say though that with like these things you can get stronger than you could like an actual man, like naturally. And even if that were true, I just want to be just the same way I'm with like girls and shit with like the opposite gender. I want to be stupid about it. I want to be like, nah, man, I could be the guy who proves you wrong. I'll prove you wrong. Yeah, just like that innocence to it, to like fight against the subhumans, the people who genetically try to like basically play God, and this nonsense has to stop. The human species belongs to us, to them, to the future. That's why pain is so important, because it's like you're dealing with like a bunch of people who have an adversity to it, right? Like think about it like this: if you really wanted to like make a lot of money, like you could physically go out on like an oil rig out on the ocean and make like I don't know how much an hour, 40, 50 an hour, and then like some bonuses, you throw that in there. I wouldn't say like you're a multi-millionaire, but like you could work for that kind of money if you really really wanted it that badly. But like think about it: how many people want it that badly? How many people want to get down and get their hands dirty, get chains literally dug into your hands and your palms and stuff, cutting up your like wrists and everything, fingertips all bruised. The truth about it is like we live in a society that does not appreciate the ability to feel that pain, to hurt yourself and like grow. And then you have to like think about, well, what do you get out of that? Like everybody's just like basically arguing about nothing. They have this like weak stomach about this Iran war. They're more than like contempt, like sorry, content to sit by and let the Persians suffer in silence, continuously suffering, endlessly, needlessly. Sticking their legs, closing their legs close together, tucking their tail between their legs. That's the way people are now. But now with like the new like wave of like video games coming out, the fact that like Grand Theft Auto 6 is definitely coming out. I know like As in Gold and everybody had like second thoughts on Crimson Desert. They thought it was actually pretty good. You know, it's looking up. I think like we still need to try harder though. Like I think we all need to try a little bit harder in the sense that there's going to be people out there and they think that they got a shot. They think they have a chance. And it sounds cold to say this now, but like you got to think about it in the long run. Hasn't mercy in the past caused so much more harm than good. And we are not, like, fully aware of the ramifications of it, right? Like, by simply you not achieving your absolute utter potential and allowing, others to prevail, you've caused harm, whether you're conscious of it or not. And you've allowed the weak to be born into this world, weak parents. You could have stopped it. You could have prevented it. So I'm telling you this now. Don't be blinded. Don't be clouded. Don't let the judgment cloud you. Like I'm being clouded by this fog over here. You must, you know, heed me. You must listen. Because as viewers of my channel, there's only one solution. There's only one reason why you're here, why you're truly here. An answer. A true answer to everything that nobody else wants to give you because they're just too afraid. They're too scared of the like repercussions. Like, oh, can you imagine, like, YouTube reviewing this video of all my videos and saying, okay, you've taken it too far. You asking people to go out exercise and like whatever better themselves, but like solely for themselves. Like, don't do it for like this like petty challenge shit. I think that's like the biggest woe of like these others is that they make it this like team based thing that we all have to succeed and we all have to like better each other. No, that's so wrong because it's like you don't understand how much harm you can cause with an open hand rather than with a closed fist. Like you think like the closed fist approach is bad, right? Like it's wrong or it's like immoral or amoral, whatever label you want to give it. I'm telling you right now, it is the way. It is the right way. I was foolish in this assessment many times, but then one day, just like maybe this weekend, maybe my eyes opened and I realized that I could just push it just a little bit more and achieve what I need to achieve. Maybe because it's like I was always used to it as like a personal thing, whereas I don't know. I don't think I'm like special in any way, shape, or form. I just think that like saying it out loud because I mean it, um, it's worth something, right? Like there's so many people around the world who are afraid of pretty much everything, right? The world ending, like things blowing up, the economy, like going to shit. You know, we don't really want to know why they're worried though. They're worried because they've never actually lived. And if it like ends for them right now, they go out on like a soft note. And that's why it's so much more important to just keep trying harder to, and eclipse them and dominate. You already won, like I said. Take care. Thanks for listening to my rant.